So what is a Grand Tour mini special? It's all based around here in this rather troubled part of the world. You've got Syria and Iraq and Iran sort of at the bottom, and then at the top you've got Russia. But in between you have this sliver of peace and prosperity, and that got us thinking. You see, if you live on the shores of the Black Sea and you're partial to a bit of fish, you're fine. But what if you like bream? See, bream likes fresh water, and the Black Sea is salty. Nearest fresh water is all the way over here in the Caspian, and that is 1,000 kilometres away.
Yeah, so we were wondering, if you have to drive all that way for your supper, what would be the best car?
Obviously, you'd need some sort of GT, but which one? The new Aston Martin DBS, the new Bentley Continental GT, or the newer BMW 8 Series?
Now, this is exactly the sort of question this show was designed to answer. So, this week, we took the Grand Tour to Batumi in the former Soviet state of Georgia. The meeting point was on the shores of the Black Sea, and naturally enough, James May was the last to arrive in the new BMW 8 Series. God, it doesn't look anything like as good in the flesh as it does in the pictures.
It is disappointing in the metal. I'm afraid that's the case.
And brown!
What?
Brown!
It's sunburst orange.
Mate, that's a brown car.
It's sunburst orange, it's not brown.
It's brown!
Orange.
And it looks very like a Toyota.
Is
No,
it
it doesn't.
on delivery wheels? Are they specially for delivering it?
What are you talking
No,
about?
there's
like
little
casters.
wheels that they can move it
that's
around
what I
on.
mean.
Oh, you've got the new
where
Bentley
on
that's the same as the old Bentley.
Apart from being a completely new car.
Yeah, but it looks the same.
It doesn't look the same. It's completely different front end, different size.
Oh, no, it looks like an
different
Aventador.
back.
No.
It's a completely new car.
That's horrible.
Oh, that's quite vivid, isn't it? I mean, worryingly for you, I quite like that.
You like that, exactly.
So this is, it's a DB11.
No, well, no, it's the DBS. Superleggera.
Because it's very light, isn't it?
Is it?
That's what superleggera means, yeah?
It's 72 kilograms lighter than a DB11.
And no more expensive.
Well, it's a bit more expensive.
How much more expensive?
It's £67,000 more
Yes.
than DB11.
And how much is it?
A lot.
Is it something like £250,000?
No!
What is it then?
A little bit less.
230?
A bit less.
225?
Yes.
Mine's £100,000. It's contemporary and it's modern. There's no good saying, oh, it looks Japanese, as if that's a slur. The Japanese advanced the
that just
car
means a bit-
massively in the last century.
Eventually, we decided to stop arguing and drive from here on the Black Sea right through Georgia and Azerbaijan to the Caspian for a nice piece of grilled bream. The question I really want to answer on this journey is this. How can the DBS be worth £67,000 more than the DB11 when, from where I'm sitting, they appear to be exactly the same? At first, you're forced to say, well, it isn't. This interior simply isn't good enough in a £225,000 car. Just not even close. You look at the Bentley and you go, that is an interior. It's chintzy, but it's fabulous. However, as we left the city, the DBS's true colours started to shine through. This is by far the most powerful car here, and the lightest, and the most sort of aggressive. And yet, it just glides along in GT mode, which I'm in now, Grand Touring mode. It's like a hovercraft. Come on, turn! Look at that for a tiny line. 911 and this. I'm afraid you're going to have to face facts, both of you. You're in wheelbarrows, and I'm in a spaceship.
Ah, an old man imagining he's James Bond. Thing is, if we're going to talk about long-legged, luxurious, continent-crossing GT cars, we're talking about Bentleys. They're the definitive GTs. Whisper quiet, velvety smooth, a hint of massive power weighting, 626 horsepower under my right foot.
More than 60 in 3.4 seconds, which is absolutely mind-boggling in a car this big. It really is. Oh, God.
A GT car, first and foremost, it's got to be a nice place to be because, by definition, you're going to spend a lot of time in it. And this is a fine place to be. This finish on the center console, this metal here, is aluminium that's been milled in the same way that they mill aluminium inserts in the back of expensive watches. If I press this button here, I can rotate between my different screens. Oh, analog dials and clocks in the center of the dash. Thank you.
The problem for me with the Bentley and the Aston is that they're actually a bit too hung up on being British. It is a bit of a British disease. We can't shake it off. We're obsessed with phony heritage and the meaning of tradition, and it's all just nonsense, really. Go. Actually, if you want to talk about heritage and tradition, then the BMW has the strongest, still made in Munich by the same company. It has a 4.4-litre twin-turbocharged V8 developing 523 horsepower. It also has four-wheel drive, rear-wheel steering, and adaptive anti-roll bar. Has an 8-speed gearbox. It's not twin clutch, but it is flappy paddle, and it is very sharp. This is a proper car. Not tinsel.
Even though our cars didn't recognise Georgia as a country, we soon arrived in the town of Gori, the birthplace of Joseph Stalin. Outside, we checked out the statue of Stalin, which that night caused a debate between, well, two of us. The man who beat Hitler is from your town, so obviously, as they have done, you put up a statue to him. Oh. But then it turns out that he's an even bigger mass murderer, so do you take it down?
Hey, it's tricky, that one. It's very tricky.
Can we talk about our cars?
No.
Well, I'm not interested in the war.
Well, it's more than the war, Hammond. This is sort of a pivotal bit of 20th century history. It affected the whole world.
Right, well, I'm off to bed.
What?
I'm off to bed.
You go to bed?
I'm going to bed. I'll see you in the morning.
We must have bored him because he's left some of his gin and tonic.
After some more considered debate about the town's Stalin problems, I had an brainwave. The next morning, as we were saddling up, Richard Hammond had a question.
Why have you put Nigel Mansell's head on my bonnet?
I thought you'd like it. You know, British racing driver, British car, thought it'd be appropriate.
It's a bold statement, isn't it?
So you got a famous Brummie in the car and on the front of the car.
Nigel Mansell must have been a big name round here. A lot of people looking at him.
Our next destination was a racetrack 70 miles away. And because James and I had racist sat-navs, we were taking guidance from the man up front, which was a mistake. Hammond, we've definitely been round here before.
If you wanted me to be in charge of navigation, you shouldn't have glued Nigel Mansell's head to my bonnet.
Why are we going so slowly? I mean, I'm being overtaken by trucks.
Well, Nigel Mansell's head gets in the way of road signs, and I have to sort of crane round him to see them, and I don't want to miss them.
I'm not doing any racing. That's utterly pointless. Oh, no.
Having parted company with James's fan club, we eventually arrived at the racetrack. Built in the days of communism, it hosted some terrible and boring races until the Soviet Union and it fell apart. A few years ago, though, it was brought back to life. Are we got to remember, 715 horsepower is a huge amount. That is a cathedral of power. 119, 122, 129, 136. God, that's so quick! And the best thing is, it's old school. All of that power goes to the rear wheels. There's no four-wheel drive, there's no four-wheel steering, there's no fancy trickery. Oh, look at this. Drifting with the traction control off.
Go. That's still good. That is still good. Drive carefully. For God's sake.
Was the first Aston I've ever driven that felt good on a track. And this is the second. Jesus, what a car! Ah, Richard Hammond driving around in Chatsworth House there.
Need a fire as a chief.
Meanwhile, in the BMW, I too had been leaning on the electronics.
Previously on the road, I had this set up in my version of Sport, which you can program, and I had the steering on Comfort and the ride on Comfort. But now, I have it in Sport Plus. I have the least power, 523. I have the lowest power to weight ratio. But it's a meaty engine with lots of low down grunt. I can dig deep.
Combine that with the four-wheel drive and the four-wheel steering, and the 8 Series is exactly what you'd expect.
It's easy. It's a BMW. It feels like a BMW.
It's so easy, in fact, that while going past the pits, I noticed something.
There's a bloke with a stopwatch there. Does that mean they're actually taking time? I presume it does.
They were, so all of us decided to concentrate on some hot laps. Eventually, we pitted to see how we'd done. No surprises here. Aston was the fastest.
Okay.
No, but obviously
Fair
by
enough.
an enormous margin. You did 2:05.8.
Yes.
Yes.
Richard Hammond.
Yes.
2 minutes.
Yes.
4.8. So you're only a second quicker.
Oh.
That's the closest you two have ever been.
That is.
Oh, hang on. Text. Oh, God, Mr. Willman. How does he know when we're all sitting around?
It's uncanny. Go on, then.
Right. I've seen how fast you can go in your cars on a flying lap.
Yes.
Now we shall see how fast you can go when you're bursting for a pee.
What? Really?
Right. Each of you will drink 3 pints of water, wait 20 minutes, and then see how much your times improve. Soon we were ready to begin the test.
Right, so we drink these, and then when we've drunk all three, start the timer.
Yeah. That's disgusting. It's just revolting, this stuff. Thing is, this is quite an interesting test because when I drive normally, I drive on the motorway at 70 miles an hour.
Of course you do.
When I need a pee, I'll do 180.
Goodbye. Oh, no, that hurts. Oh.
3, 2, 1. I'm out of here. Good luck. Oh, it's his starting. Ah, no, running's unwise.
I don't need a Waz. I don't need a Waz.
Away.
Come on. Oh, God, it's interfering.
Come on. Come on.
I'm not thinking about it. I'm just not thinking about it.
Need a wee. Braking hard. Oh, it's worse going through the corners because it all sloshes to one side. Go!
Give me everything you've got. No, not anymore.
Oh, my God, no!
Oh, for God's sake.
Unleash the beast! Go!
You're going to burn for that. I don't like it. This is rubbish.
Oh, it's worse going through the corners because it all sloshes to one side.
Go, go, go. Gotta keep the pressure on. Come on, keep going. Getting power, good. Watch this. What a tip.
That'll do. Just, can't run. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. What? Who's in there?
I'm
James,
a bugger off. I'm having a waz.
hurry up!
I'm having a waz.
Just hurry up. I'm going to go in a minute. Right, that's it. Let me in. Oh God, there's more. Oh God.
It's just awful. When
Oh,
you...
listen, mate. James is in there, and I'm first. You ain't getting in ahead of me.
Fine, relax.
There's no way.
It is awful though when you get to the door, your body's saying, yes, time to go, but then you can't.
Stop talking. Why are you bothered anyway?
Well, I solved the problem, second corner.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah.
James,
I'm having a waz.
you say, no, I've got the times. It's quite interesting. You were a second slower on that lap.
I'm desperate for a slash.
Do you think you were faster or slower?
I don't care.
Richard Hammond, your original lap, 2 minutes 4.8.
Oh.
Your new lap,
Stop talking.
2 minutes
Yes, whatever.
0.5. You were slower as well.
Because I was concentrating on not doing what you've done.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because I did what I did. Look at that. How interesting is that? Exactly the same. I mean, I was basically...
James, hurry up!
The next morning, we went for a drive round to Tbilisi, one of the coolest cities we'd ever been to. We then found a flea market and decided to test the boot space in our Grand Tourers by picking up a few souvenirs.
I'm not sure they would have been able to win a war like this.
This is a Russian wall clock. It says Moscow on the dial. It works.
Is it a Soviet one?
Yeah, a Soviet cine camera. Now, come on. How much is the record player?
Would you do a selfie?
Another way that they've captured the lustfulness of the lady dog and the wistfulness of James. Having done our shopping, Hammond and I were soon back at our cars and filling up the boots. What have you bought?
Giant pair of jugs. Georgian wine jugs.
Do you know what the Georgian is for wine jugs?
No.
Norks.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
So you've got 2 giant Norks.
Yep. A guitar and a clock, and I'm very pleased with the purchases. What's with the trombone or whatever it is?
Well, it won't fit. With my record player and my bird and my gas mask.
That's a striking piece. We'll put it on the back seat.
Look, small.
Go on, the back seat will accommodate that. Look.
It's going to be critical.
Oh, my God.
There you go. Told you you would.
Do Aston Martin describe that as a back seat?
Yes.
I wouldn't call it a leather pouch.
Anyway, the interesting thing about the Aston Martin is... I've got quite a lot to say.
I need to get out now.
At this point, James came back after a very ambitious shopping trip.
Could you hold the porcupine, please? Yak goes in first.
How big is that boot?
It is actually really big.
It's unnecessarily big, actually.
Too much boot.
It's a Grand Tourer. It's for taking luggage, as you said only the other day. His master's voice will go there. And then the Spanish man of war.
I then came up with a plan to get rid of what wouldn't fit in my car. I bought you a present.
You're a musical man. That's very thoughtful of him, actually.
Thank you.
With our souvenirs loaded up, we got back on the road.
Oh, really?
At the next town, May and I wanted to pull over, and Hammond didn't.
It was all very nice jollying around, but These are GT cars. We've got to cover miles in them. We've got miles to go. We need to get a move on.
The town, however, was called Ganja. So obviously May and I wanted to experience the architecture.
Can we stop stopping off to look at things? The whole point of this trip is to prove that these powerful GT cars can devour continents, and we're not devouring any miles.
Ooh.
Well, we need to get going.
You do know that these aren't actually quicker than any other type of car?
What?
No, in the real world. I mean, these feel great. That's why we like them. It's nice having a powerful car, etc. But in the real world, they don't go any faster or slower than any other type of car.
They go faster.
They
They don't.
What, those larders we've been overtaking endlessly since we got here, you're saying that my twin-turbocharged Aston Martin is no faster than them?
Not in the real world. I'll demonstrate it to you tomorrow.
Oh, God.
Right, May, what is your thinking?
Well, I've bought this Renault 9, it's the GTL. And I've flown Abby out to drive it. We're going to drive 50 miles to a place called the Garden of Paradise.
Why can't we just go where we're going?
Because I just said we're going to the Garden of Paradise. It'll be nice. So Abby gets a 2-minute head start. You won't be able to catch her.
Oh, well.
You won't.
She has a 2-minute head start,
Yes.
and you think we can't catch her up in 50 miles?
Exactly.
That's not in good condition.
It wasn't very expensive. Start the engine, please.
Oh, well.
well.
Oh, we're in trouble now.
Right, you ready?
Purrs like a kitten.
Oh.
In 3, 2, 1, go! Professional racing driver.
That's it. She's good. She's good.
You bought a dog.
Doesn't work.
18 seconds.
Stop sounding excited about this ridiculous escapade.
2, 1, begin. Go.
Not my best work.
Oh, God.
Bingo.
Oh, dear me. There you go.
What are you doing here? That will do. Oops.
Oh, dear me.
This is undignified.
This is just brilliant.
No offense, Abby, but you're not having it.
The finish line at the Garden of Paradise was close. And as we entered the outskirts, the patio of paradise, Abby was in sight. The race we knew would be ours, but then it turned out that actually the finish line was in the 14th century.
Oh, my word. In narrow, very narrow.
Oh, I don't know how much a carbon fibre chin spoiler is on one of these, but I bet it's a lot. By this stage, I knew I'd lost, so I needed to come up with an excuse. Leave the head. A hat.
This is not Bentley country now. This is really Land Rover territory. James May, you are a bloody idiot.
Sit rep. Man arrived at the window, took 30 units of currency away, and I now have this hat. Eventually, Hammond and I found Abby's victorious Renault at the finish line. And then, what was definitely several hours later, May turned up.
Oh, here he is.
Oh, God.
Who won then?
We did.
Did you?
No, we didn't. Well, he went hat shopping.
I did. Look.
Took him
Really?
ages choosing that one. Honestly, we must have been... How long were we hat shopping? Must have been a good half hour to get the right one.
Well, half an hour with the black one, and then I didn't like it.
That does not happen by accident. That sort of thing takes time.
With James's unrealistic real-world test out of the way, we continued heading east.
Come on, come on, come on. The things a car has to excel at to be a good GT car. Luxury, comfort, power, style make for just a good car of any sort. And this new Bentley Continental GT is a very, very, very good GT car. I'm gonna say it, this thing is a masterpiece. They absolutely nailed it, and it deserves to wear its flying B. What a thing.
So, my BMW. Now, when we started this trip, I nearly thought it was rather good. But now, I'm pretty much in love with it. And most of that, to be honest, is because of that V8 engine. It's smooth, it's quiet, it's unobtrusive. But then you just knock it down a few and give it a bit of a shoot. There you go. Right then, let's go. Full throttle. See, it becomes sonorous. Its voice becomes more heartfelt, and it tingles through the steering wheel and through my buttocks. It's lovely. And the other thing, and I know this is going to sound a little bit sort of hashtag first world consideration, but it's only £100,000. considerably less than half the price of the Aston Martin. It also looks better, and it's made by Germans. Buy this.
Been a great trip, this. A couple of things we've learned on the way. Number one, Georgia, hidden gem, Tbilisi in particular. And number two, pottery is much sharper than you might imagine. Then there's the DBS, and that is tricky. It is as fast as hell, and it's comfortable, and it looks sensational. It's a hugely appealing car, but is it worth £70,000 more than the also hugely appealing DB11? And I don't think it is. I just don't think it is. Maybe if they'd fitted an interior that made you feel special, like the interior does in the Bentley, I'd have a different view, but they didn't. So I don't. Sorry. After a stunning drive through the tip of the Caucasus, we eventually arrived in the jaw-dropping capital of Azerbaijan. And moments later, we found our grail. There we are, look, 50 feet below sea level, and we have arrived at journey's end. The Caspian, the largest inland body of water in the world. Our journey is complete. Let's get a bream.
A bream's fish?
No, Hammond, they're cows. Of course they're fish.
I don't like fish.
Well, on that terrible disappointment
For him.
Back to the tent.
How did you say back to the tent, you idiot?
Oh, right, I've got biscuit.
Do that on
I
special.
know, it flipped out.
Well,
Never do that.
It gives us a chance at least to say how good GT cars are. I love them. The rear with front engine at the front and all the power you need. They're everything you want in a car.
You know, I agree. The BMW was the best as well.
Eh?
Yes, but James, why don't you tell the ladies and gentlemen about the BMW's lane departure system? You know, the one that keeps you in the white lines when you're driving along?
Yeah, well, the thing is, it was a pre-production car, so it had a slight glitch in it and you couldn't turn it off. And it's quite annoying on the road, you know, because it does that. But on the track, the problem is that you aim for a perfect apex, but the car thinks, he's about to have an accident. And then it just throws you back into the middle of the track again. It's extremely irritating.
There was that, which you moaned about a lot, and the gearbox.
Yeah, the gearbox. Well, the problem there is the display on the dash, there's two of them. One of them says what gear you've selected, but the other one says what gear the car thinks you should be in. So, again, on the track, you'd be driving along going, here comes the left-hand man, right down to second, then the car would go, seventh?
That is annoying.
It's basically Germans saying that England knows nothing here.
Exactly. But it was bloody fast, the BMW. It was excellent.
But I still think the Bentley was the best. It was the best.
Well, I agree.
What?
I agree. Look, I really like the DBS, OK? It was a fantastic car. I like the DB11 as well, and the Vantage. But for doing that journey, I'd choose the Bentley.
Yeah, wait a minute. Haven't you just recommended the Aston Martin DBS to a friend of yours?
Yes, I have.
And has he since bought one?
Yes, he has. And on terrible disappointment for him, it's time to end. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.